everybody. Welcome to the Life and Homes podcast. I am Mike Bulver, the host, and I have a very special guest, Marty Gorton. Marty and I go way back, and he's a good friend of mine. It's a pleasure to have him on the show. Welcome, Marty.
How you doing? How's everybody?
Doing okay. So, Marty, you are a real estate agent for Coldwell Banker Sexton Real Estate here in Utica, New York. Tell everybody how you got into the real estate business.
Well, I used to be a contractor, had my own business and still do, Harrison Design and Contracting. That's the DBA. But I had issues with my ankle, probably from a lot of full court basketball and hiking in the Adirondacks. And I realized I needed surgery.
Okay.
And being a contractor, although I enjoyed the physicalness of the work, it was a lot of strain on my ankle. So I looked into real estate, took an online course, and became a real estate salesperson. Eventually ended up at Coldwell Banker Sexton. It's been a great fit. And the contracting knowledge and skills definitely plays a huge role as a real estate agent. I'm not a home inspector, I'm not an architect, but when I go into a home to list, I can kind of address some issues to make it more marketable. When I go into a home representing a buyer, I'm looking at things from a contracting standpoint.
Right.
People are always like, how do we take down a wall? How do we get laundry on the first floor? How's the flooring? How are the windows? How the roof? How's the foundation? There's a lot of things that can be done, but when you buy a home, you don't want to necessarily now have to, out of pocket, invest in a furnace, electrical panel box, remodel a bathroom or kitchen. But some people have that on their scope, and I can kind of guide them. But I'm only in the house a half hour. A home inspector's there for 2 hours. But, I'm looking at things from a contracting background. So it's been a great fit. And I think with having that knowledge, also I do it full time. There's a lot of agents that don't, and nothing against them, that we're in Mohawk Valley with a lot of great agents that I work with. And the way I look at it, no matter where you work as an agent, whether it's Realty USA, Coldwell Banker, we're on the same team. You're listing a house, I have a buyer. I have a house to list, you have a buyer.
There you go.
So I look at, we're on the same team. And, I think that that's one of the things that I think most agents need to know.
Sure.
We're not enemies.
Right.
We're here to get to what I call the closing date or finish line. As a listing agent, we got to get to the start line, and that is listing your house and getting it ready. And that's contracting comes in very handy there. Not just doing things that are what we think of as contracting related, but maybe you need to declutter. Maybe you need to dispose of items. Maybe you need to donate items. I have trailers. I have contacts. We can clean a garage, clean a basement, donate furniture to Goodwill. I do it all the time. That does set me apart. I mean, I don't advertise that, but when I look at a scope of work that may need to be done, I definitely offer my services. And sometimes people are not ready to list right away, so that gives more time to get a house ready for the best price. I mean, that is my goal, to list a home and try to get the most value. So
it's awesome that you go above and beyond the call of duty. You're whatever they need, you can provide those services. Talk about the journey a little bit. So when did you get into real estate? What year was it? And now we're here in 2024.
So I got into real estate in 2015. I noticed these issues with my ankle. Fortunately, I had a very successful surgery. But and I still do contracting, not for hire, but as we just spoke about representing a buyer or listing a home. But I got into real estate after contracting, and that was in 2015, as I think I just said. And I've been doing it full time ever since. The first couple of years were a struggle, as starting any new job. Real estate is commission based only.
Sure.
Um, and, back when I started, listing a home in the fall or early winter months is not the greatest time.
Right.
Now markets have changed. You can list a home, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it would possibly sell. So when you're listing a home or working on buying a home during those months, your payday's like spring. So
Mhm.
back when I started, it was more difficult, um, relying on a paycheck. So
Right.
you do what you got to do. In the beginning, I did some contracting as well as real estate, but now it is strictly real estate.
What's your advice for? Because I think you can encourage the people that are getting into real estate. I'm sure there's always people going into classes, always people getting into real estate, and it's like you said, the first couple of years were a struggle, and I'm sure that people that are new in the business are struggling. What is your advice for them to transition into maybe going into it full time, maybe being very successful? You're a success for sure, and
Well, success, I think you can be successful in any career, and it's called
sure.
hard work,
Hmm.
and it's also being ethical. Advice, I would say, don't get into real estate. Anybody can get a real estate license to be successful, which I have been, and I've been a top producer. It's best that you're full time
Right.
because you're full time for your clients, and real estate is 7 days a week. uh, I may be working 16 hours a day, but there are pockets where there is not real estate related work. But still, you wake up with a computer and emails and text messages and confirmation for showings, or you have a home inspection, you have an appraisal. So I think advice, take an online course. There's courses that are offered at colleges and
Mhm.
institutions, but online allows you to take a course. You could be working on it at midnight, or if there's a snowstorm, the class could be canceled at an institution. You could be on your laptop.
Right.
So I would take an online course and be prepared to work hard. Don't count the hours you put into a transaction. Driving, the amount you put into your gas tank. But take an online course and be prepared to, do the best for your clients. And it's a basic, simple strategy.
Hmm.
Um,
I would imagine.
Being personable, communicating are huge skills.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, Mike, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I imagine when you're like, because you get commission on a house that you sold, you kind of have to nest egg your money a little bit. You don't want to be going out and blowing your money, and then you got to wait for the next commission. I mean, you kind of have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right?
Yeah, and the same goes back to when I was a contracting. Sometimes you had pockets where you were remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom, or sometimes you had smaller jobs. But yes, you do have to be a good manager of your time as well as your money, because I've done well. So being really prudent with my money, it's a habit of mine, but it's the past several years have been very successful. But you still need to be wise with your money. It's nice when your broker gets the commission, and then you get a commission from a broker. So
Right.
I can't imagine having a bad gambling habit and
gosh.
getting a large commission check. And
Yeah.
but fortunately, I don't have that habit.
Yeah.
But,
You have some good habits. I know that even before I came here and did the podcast, we're actually in Marty's beautiful home here in Utica. Uh, you gave me a call, and then you said, you kind of got my schedule when I'm coming over. You're like, I'm going to run out and do something. I mean, it almost seems like any little bit of time you have, you don't waste. You're always doing something.
Well, that's basically my nature. If there's a minute here or a minute there, and I have to go to an attorney's office or go to my office, you make it work. I don't really sit still much. So, knowing when you were going to come here, it's like I need to know down to the minute.
Right.
There's always things to do in real estate, and when you own a home, that's a part-time job, if not more. So there's a lot of things to coordinate.
But what is the best way for people to get a hold of you to have you as an agent?
So I work for Coldwell Banker Sexton. Coldwell Banker has many franchises around the country as well as the world, but I work for Coldwell Banker Sexton.
Right.
My email address is all one word: real estate by Marty G at gmail.com. My phone number is 315-534-4661. You can call, text anytime. If I'm awake, I answer the phone. At Coldwell Banker Sexton, we always like somebody to answer the phone. So when the administrator is out of the office, phones get transferred to me or another agent. So if you're calling it from California at 10 o'clock at night and I can take a call, I'll take it. But usually after 5 o'clock, they will be transferred. And that goes for weekends too. Weekends, I always get a kick when people say, have a nice weekend. That's the busiest time in real estate.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday doesn't change much. So you've got my email address, phone number, and you can always call Coldwell Banker Sexton and ask for Marty Gorton. So that's my contact information, and that's my main number.
Right.
I don't have a landline. Sorry for the clock that's going off.
That actually is like that's our time. It's like
we have to leave
the clock knew. But Marty, I want to thank you for coming on to the show, and pleasure having you on again. Contact Marty for sure, and we're going to be back with another segment next week with Marty, and a couple more segments down the road. We're going to dive more into the real estate market and kind of what things look like now. And we hope you enjoyed the segment. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you.
Introducing Life and Homes Weekly, a new free email service that delivers to your phone exclusive money-saving coupons on local lifestyle and home products and services with up-to-the-minute real estate information. With Life and Homes Weekly, you'll get this weekend's open house list, new listing alerts, searchable up-to-the-minute real estate listings, a copy of the area's largest digital real estate magazine, and valuable coupons. Just go to lifeandhomes.com, click on the weekly button, and subscribe for free.
I was on the path to death. Since coming into the mission, I am completely sober and enjoy every day that I'm alive. One thing that the mission has done to set me up for success is giving me hope that I can actually get my kids back. I used to see myself as worthless, and I always thought that's all I'd ever be. But since I came here, I've realized that it's all in the choices you make, and it's given me hope.
An update on the Noslick versus MLS PIN Commission lawsuit filed in December of 2020. On February 16th, the Department of Justice filed an amicus brief rejecting the settlement proposed late last year. While the judge does not have to follow the DOJ's recommendation in this case, the brief does indicate what the department is looking for in any resolution. Apparently, the only acceptable outcome seems to be a complete separation of the seller and the listing broker from offering compensation to the buyer broker, a process known as decoupling. The Department of Justice pointed out that federal law allows the buyer to ask the seller to pay their agent's fee through the negotiation of the purchase offer. The decoupling would allow the buyer to directly negotiate with their agent. The Department of Justice believes that will lower the cost of commissions and the cost of purchasing a home. In the brief, the Department of Justice suggested that some buyer brokers might begin to offer hourly rates, flat fee structures, and tailor their services and fees to meet a given buyer's wants and needs. Early in the Biden administration, the federal government was directed to find ways to lower the cost of buying a home in this country and reduce real estate commissions in the U.S., allegedly the highest in the world. It appears that the Department of Justice is working towards that goal. Through injunctive relief, more litigation, or action by the Federal Trade Commission, we are likely to see disruption in the current buyer-broker compensation model. Have a good day.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Life and Homes podcast. This is your host, Mike Bova. I have a very special guest in the studio today. He is the founder of Life and Homes, founded it back in 2000, and he's going to talk a little bit about the real estate platform that he's created, and then we're going to get into the hot topic of real estate. Hey everybody, welcome Dave Lisi to the show. Dave, welcome to your show.
Thank you, Mike. I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. So tell us, everybody, about the platform you've created, the Life and Homes platform, and then we're going to dive into the hot topic of the NAR DOJ lawsuit.
Okay. So my background is in advertising and marketing. And about 20 years ago, I saw a need to use different media channels to dispense real estate information into a community. So I started playing around with a print product that we developed called the Life and Home magazine. Maybe you've seen a lot of that around town. Mm-hmm. And we did that fairly well for many years, but as we all know, things change. Right. Just before COVID, the technology of social video, online stuff just kind of went through the roof. And so I just started making a lot of changes. So now we do more of a platform, Mike, than what we did just a magazine a few years ago. And it's just grown. I don't know how else to say it. So we run a magazine, we do a website, we do social media. We're kind of like an advertising and marketing company wrapped up on a real estate platform, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Sure. I know you guys do a lot of things. I love what you said before. You said it to me before. You live in Tweaksville, and you have to tweak things. And yeah, I mean, COVID changed everything in 2020, and then nobody's doing anything. So yeah, you made a great reinvention. And talk about your MLS system. We're going to go into that. You have your own MLS, and then we'll talk about the NAR.
So Mike, about 8 years ago, there was a small little listing service down in the Valley. That's upstate New York. And it really wasn't doing much, but the people that had started it many years ago decided that it was time for them to retire. So they came to me and asked me, do you want to take it over? And I really didn't want to at first, but I thought about it and actually prayed about it. And I just, I thought, there could be an opportunity here. Well, lo and behold, I took that little small Mohawk Valley listing service, and then I brought syndication to it, which simply means that we take a listing that's in a local community and then we syndicate it to about 100 different portals across the country.
That's awesome.
Like Homes, Realtor.com, and a lot of those things. And so it really just kind of expanded the footprint. The second thing that we did is we used our advertising and marketing abilities and really helped that local Main Street realtor build their brand into the community, because as we all know, real estate is about getting a listing, not just advertising a listing itself. But you got to get the listing. And one way to get the listing is to actually kind of market yourself into the community. So we use social, video, mobile, pretty much any media source that's out there to kind of help them expand their brand into the local community.
Yeah, the real estate's different because you have the brand of the company, you have the brand of Coldwell Banker, but you also have the brand of the real estate agent themselves. So this is a great way for real estate agents and brokers to get their listings out there. So let's talk about the lawsuit, and $1.6 billion lawsuit.
Might be more, by the way.
Okay, so I didn't even know it was like 1.6 billion until you had mentioned it to me. But what are the concerns that you're hearing from real estate agents and brokers across the nation, not just in the area, but across the nation?
Mike, I would say this from what I can see, and I've got people that are across, the nation that I just keep in touch with.
Sure.
A lot of realtors are super nervous about what's going to be happening in the next, I don't know, maybe the next 6 to 12 months as this lawsuit continues to unpack. They're seeing that there's going to be some major financial changes to the way real estate is being done, changes in the regulatory way of doing business. So the point is that realtors they're just super nervous. The other thing I've noticed is that MLSs that are connected to the National Association of Realtors, the NAR, that could be very problematic because there seems to be, and again, I'm not an expert per se, but there seems to be copycat lawsuits starting to happen that are attached to the main NAR DOJ lawsuit. So, in fact, I was just talking with somebody out in the Syracuse market a couple of weeks ago. There's a couple of brokers in that market that are just a little bit nervous about being connected to the local MLS that's connected to the NAR. So you have a host of problems like that. And in the heart of the lawsuit, I want to just bring this to your attention. Mm-hmm. This is what I see, is that the problem that it's in the heart of the lawsuit is that should a national organization really control a local MLS system? I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
And the answer that the DOJ is saying, no, that shouldn't happen. But and so right now the DOJ looks like they are doing what they're doing, and it's creating a lot of havoc. The other thing I'm noticing is that there's going to be significant changes in the way legal transactions are going to happen as well. So I think pretty much all of those things, and here's the point that I think, the key point that I think everybody should know is that if you're a real estate professional in this marketplace that seems like it's ever changing, you totally need to stay informed of what's going on, and you need to adapt. If you're going to make it through, I've been doing this for I've been doing it more than my business, but I've been doing it for probably the last 30 years. What I've noticed is that the realtors that don't change with the time and the season in the marketplace, they won't be around the next season. They just won't. And I've seen that hundreds of times. And the ones that I think that are going to make it through, the realtors, they're going to get informed. They're going to get the information that they need, and then they're going to adapt to it. And as if they do that well, they'll be fine.
It's great advice for real estate agents. Stay informed, because one of the things I used to hate when companies would say this is business as usual. Is you can't do business as usual because everything is changing, especially with the real estate industry. So you touched on a little bit when you said that you talked to some people out in Syracuse and they're concerned. What impact do you think it's going to have on the areas of the Mohawk Valley and the greater capital region, the areas that you serve?
Yeah. Mike, here's what I see. First of all, let me just make one comment. Just know that this lawsuit will, in fact, affect our local real estate community, the dynamics of our real estate marketplace. Okay. You don't have to guess whether or not it will. It will totally do it. It's going to be, there's a concern that I'm even hearing in the local Mohawk Valley, and we're in two markets, by the way, in particular. We're in the Utica Rome market, upstate New York, and then we're also in the capital region over there near the Albany market. And there's already chatter that I'm hearing from the local realtors and professionals a shift in that supply and demand. That's going to affect certain things about the real estate activity. I also am hearing that consumer confidence is getting a little bit, I wouldn't say unstable, but I know people are watching whether or not this is actually having an impact on the stability and reliability of the local market. I think it's going to, on some level, because people are just getting a little jittery. There's also talk about decreased transactions happening because of it. They just feel like there's so much turmoil, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but not everything's been decided yet. Everything is still being decided, and there's more things to happen with this lawsuit. And because of that, there's just uncertainties, and because of that, I think people are a little concerned. Property values. I thought this was interesting when I was doing a little research for this topic today, this podcast, Mike. Property prices could drop a little bit because people are hesitant about moving forward. That might be that the price points could come down a little bit. So there's no doubt about it that this is going to affect us in many different ways. It's going to affect the way that we do business moving forward. And I think the key takeaway is that A, it's going to affect us. B, we've got to be proactive in strategies and education to help the general public understand that these changes are coming and settle them, and then move forward and grow the real estate market as we move in the next year.
Sure. We're going to extend the time a little bit because we had a time allotted for the segment, but this is so interesting. We have to get into like one more question. So as a real estate platform, you guys have a plethora of things that you do, including being an advertising agency. What are your plans to navigate the uncertainties of the DOJ lawsuit about the NAR on your media platforms?
Yeah. So being that we're a news media and publishing company and an advertising company as well, we have like a little small editorial board that we've been talking about this lawsuit. And we've almost taken it upon ourselves to say, we need to deploy good information and timely information into the community if we want to help, settle things down a little bit. So as a Life and Homes MLS editorial strategy, we're going to deploy articles, podcasts. We're going to do webinars, if you will, just to try to inform the general public and even some of the real estate professionals about what's coming down the pike, how we can maybe prevent some of the startling information or the new processes that are going to be unwrapped here shortly. Just control editorially some content that would be help to lessen the issue as we move forward. The other thing we want to do is the need to bring expert people into the conversation on this platform, like legal experts or professionals that have an interest, a stakeholding in the real estate community, and pick their brain on how the new law and the new procedures are going to actually affect things moving forward. The other thing I want to tell you guys is that Life and Homes MLS is not connected with the NAR. So we're not attached to the National Association of Realtors. And because of that, we're kind of like in a unique position. All that stuff that's coming down, that really won't affect us per se, because we're not connected to that national organization. But what we thought we would do is hook up with other media alliances in the area and just bring together a oneness of media that would be able to have like forums or maybe even like a little mini conference or meetings in the area that just could bring attention to some of the local concerns that we have, and then dispense the information out through the different media channels. So Mike, those are the 3 or 4 things that we're trying to do. At the end of the day, we got to be aware of these things, but more than just being a news media and publishing company, we really want to dispense the right information at the right time to help educate people. So as they're making their largest decision of their life, we're going to be helpful in helping them give them the right information.
So in close,
how
can real estate agents and real estate brokers contact you to be a part of your MLS system. So what is the best way for people to contact you, and what is the cost? Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll close out the show.
Okay, so our MLS, Life and Homes MLS, is very, very affordable. We don't have all the fees associated with running a national association thing. It's only $40 per agent per month.
Wow.
And what you get, there's a whole bunch of things you get, but the two main points is that you get syndication of your listings out to the world, and then you get advertising and marketing privileges. And that includes being a vlogger. If you like vlogging in a community and talking about your community, and you want to message that out, we can help you. That's all included in the $40, so it's very affordable. The best way to get a hold of me is just call or text me on my cell. It's 315-269-8469, and let me know who you are, and I'd love to keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thanks for being a part of the inaugural podcast, and it's so informative. We're actually going to do another session with you in a little bit. We're going to talk more about the lawsuit and the impacts it's going to have on the areas that you serve. And thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
Introducing Life and Homes Weekly, a new free email service that delivers to your phone exclusive money-saving coupons on local lifestyle and home products and services with up-to-the-minute real estate information. With Life and Homes Weekly, you'll get this weekend's open house list, new listing alerts, searchable up-to-the-minute real estate listings, a copy of the area's largest digital real estate magazine, and valuable coupons. Just go to lifeandhomes.com, click on the Weekly button, and subscribe for free.
Before I came to the mission, I was a drug addict, no good person. Since coming to the mission, I'm fixing my family relationships and being there for those that need me. I was beaten down for so many years, and now it's my time to shine. There's more to life than just drugs. Starting to become the man I used to think that I could be.